You've probably heard of George Orwell's Animal Farm, right? Well, it is way more than just a story about talking animals. It's this incredible, kind of scary blueprint for how a revolution, one that starts with the absolute best intentions, can just completely fall apart and turn into a nightmare. It's a classic allegory, of course, pointing right at the rise of Stalinism. So today, we're going to dissect this failed revolution, piece by piece.
So this really is the big question, isn't it? The one that hangs over the whole story. How does all that hope, that dream of a golden future time, just curdle into something even more awful than what they had before? Well, let's dig in and see how it all went so wrong.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're at Manor Farm, and honestly, it's a pretty miserable place. The guy in charge, Mr. Jones, let's just say he's not winning any Farmer of the Year awards. For the animals, life is just endless, backbreaking work with basically nothing to show for it. The whole place is just a tinderbox, just waiting for a spark.
And then, into this total gloom, comes this voice of hope. It's old Major, this wise, respected old pig who knows he doesn't have much time left. He gets everyone together for a secret meeting and gives a speech that just changes everything. He does something brilliant. He gives them a single, simple enemy to blame for all their problems: man. Suddenly, all their suffering has a face, and their dream of freedom has a clear path.
And here's the key thing to get. Old Major doesn't just rant. He lays out a whole philosophy, a complete package deal. He tells them, here's the problem, your lives are awful. Here's the enemy, man. And here's the solution, rebellion. He even gives them a rallying cry, an anthem called Beasts of England. And this song, it's like a hit single. It goes viral on the farm. This whole package, this vision, gets a name: animalism.
So, the actual rebellion? It happens way faster than anyone thought. Jones gets wasted, again, and completely forgets to feed the animals. And that's the last straw. They just snap. They rise up, and boom, they kick Jones and his guys right off the farm. It's this sudden total victory, and man, does it feel good.
And what's the first thing they do with this newfound freedom? They go on a rampage, but in a good way. They grab all the tools of their oppression, whips, nose rings, all of it, and just torture them in a massive bonfire. Then, in this really powerful moment, they paint over the sign for Manor Farm. From now on, it's Animal Farm. A totally new chapter is starting.
Okay, so to make sure this new society doesn't fall apart, they need some rules. The pigs, who are, the cleverest animals around, take the big ideas of animalism and boil them down into 7 commandments. Think of it as their constitution. They paint them in huge white letters on the side of the barn for everyone to see. This is supposed to be the unalterable law that'll keep them from ever becoming like humans.
And that first summer, it's incredible. It's like a dream come true. The harvest is the biggest they've ever had. Everyone's working their tails off, but they're happy to do it because for the first time, they're working for themselves. It feels like they've actually built a paradise. But, and you knew there was a but coming, this perfect harmony is way more fragile than anyone realizes. The first little cracks are already starting to show. See, corruption rarely starts with some big, dramatic, evil act. It's usually small. It's a whisper. One day, the milk from the cows just disappears. Then, they decide all the fallen apples, well, those are just for the pigs. It might not seem like a huge deal, but this is it. This is the very first crack in that core idea that all animals are equal.
So how do they get away with it? Well, they have a secret weapon, a pig named Squealer. And this guy can talk his way out of anything. He's a master of spin. He tells the other animals, hey, look, we pigs are the brain workers. We need this milk and these apples to stay smart, for your sake. And then he pulls out the trump card, the one thing that shuts down all arguments. You don't want Jones to come back to you. And just like that, the conversation is over.
So, now that the idea of some animals are more equal than others has been planted, the next step in the downfall is, you guessed it, a power struggle. It all comes down to the 2 top pigs, Snowball and Napoleon. They can't agree on anything, and their rivalry is starting to tear the farm right down the middle.
And these two could not be more different. Snowball is the ideas guy, the visionary. He's out there giving amazing speeches, and he's got this grand plan for a windmill that'll basically create a 3-day work week for everyone. Napoleon? Totally different playbook. He's quiet, works behind the scenes, and thinks Snowball's ideas are a waste of time. And then there's this really creepy detail. He takes a litter of puppies away to educate them himself.
This windmill project, it becomes the flashpoint for everything. It's not just about a building.
It's about two completely different futures for the farm. Do they follow Snowball towards progress and maybe a little more free time, or do they go with Napoleon's vision of, well, just focusing on today, and him being in charge? The animals have a choice to make.
So, the big day comes. The vote. Snowball gets up and gives the speech of his life. He paints this beautiful picture of what the farm could be with the windmill. The animals are totally sold. It's a done deal. Snowball's gonna win. But right at that moment, Napoleon gets up, gives Snowball this look, and lets out this weird, high-pitched whimper.
And that whimper, it was a signal. All of a sudden, these 9 enormous, terrifying dogs, yep, those puppies, burst into the barn. They go straight for Snowball. He just barely gets away, chased off the farm, never to be seen again. And in that one violent second, it's all over. No more debates, no more votes. Napoleon gets up and announces that from now on, a committee of pigs, led by him of course, will make all the rules. It's a coup, and it worked.
So, with Snowball out of the picture and his personal attack dogs at his side, Napoleon is now in charge. And that slow slide into corruption we saw earlier, that's over. Now it's a full-on nosedive into a straight-up dictatorship, and his main tools are going to be lies and fear.
Job number 1 for Napoleon is to erase the real Snowball from everyone's memory. He's got to turn him into a villain. But there's a problem. The animals remember what really happened. Boxer, this super strong and loyal horse, even speaks up. He's like, wait a minute, Snowball was a hero. I saw him fight bravely at the Battle of the Cowshed.
But facts don't matter when you've got Squealer. The propaganda machine kicks into high gear. Squealer doesn't just chip away at Snowball's reputation, he bulldozes it. He comes out saying he has secret documents that prove Snowball was a spy for Mr. Jones from the very beginning. It's textbook totalitarianism, right? If you can control what people believe about the past, you control what they do in the present. Then, the pigs just start acting like humans. They move into the farmhouse, they start sleeping in beds. And when the other animals are like, hey, wait, what about the commandment? They go look at the barn wall and the rule has been edited. It now says, no animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets. It's so sneaky. Later on, after some truly horrible events, the same thing happens to the rule about not killing other animals. They're not just breaking the law, they're literally rewriting it to justify what they've already done.
But you can only control people with lies for so long. Eventually, the threat of Jones coming back and the stories about Snowball start to lose their punch. Napoleon knows he needs something stronger to keep everyone in line. So he moves on from propaganda to pure terror.
He puts on this horrifying show. A few pigs who had disagreed with him in the past are dragged out. They're forced to confess to these crazy crimes, saying they were working with Snowball. And then, right there in front of everyone, the dogs just tear their throats out. And it doesn't stop. Other animals come forward, confessing to things they couldn't possibly have done, and they're slaughtered too. By the end, there's a pile of corpses at Napoleon's feet. The 6th commandment isn't just broken, it's been annihilated.
And then comes the final nail in the coffin of the revolution. Napoleon bans Beasts of England. He outlaws the Song of the Rebellion. Squealer's explanation is just chillingly cynical. He says the song was about creating a better society and, well, look around. They've achieved it. This is it. This is paradise. By killing the song, he's trying to kill the very memory of what they were originally fighting for.
So there you have it, the whole tragic journey. It starts with this incredible moment of pure hope from Old Major's dream. Then it slides into the quiet corruption of special treatment for the pigs. And it ends in the absolute brutal tyranny of Napoleon's rule. The revolution didn't just fail, it ended up right back where it started, only worse.
And that leaves us with Orwell's big, haunting question. What's the point of overthrowing your masters if your new leaders just become exactly like them? It's this timeless warning, right, about how the best ideals can be poisoned from the inside. And it leaves you with that chilling final image from the book. Looking from the pigs to the humans and back again, and realizing you just can't tell which is which anymore.